What's up, YouTube? Welcome to my channel. It's your host, That Boy Retro. Basically, on this channel, we'll be talking about pop culture from all sorts of different decades, such as the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and the early 2000s. On today's video, we're going to be jumping back to the 90s. We're going to be talking about a horror TV show that was made for kids. Can anyone guess what it is? Even though it was in my thumbnail and the reason why you probably clicked on this video in the first place. But in case you never noticed any of those things, can you guess what it is? Goosebumps. The show all 90s kids grew up watching. It was a joke. Obviously, you guys already knew what I was going to talk about, but yeah. So basically, today we're going to talk about Goosebumps. This fella right here, he's the one who created it. Goosebumps was originally a book series with the same name as a TV series. This guy right here, R.L. Stine, super creative guy, and we owe him a lot, you know what I mean? Because if it wasn't for him, our childhood wouldn't have been the same. Goosebumps was largely filmed in the Canadian province of Ontario, with different houses in historical properties in Toronto, Markham, and other outlying rural areas, serving often as a sets for each episode, rather than constructing artificial houses. So I feel like that's what really gave life to these episodes. The fact that they didn't use fake sets, it was actually real buildings and real houses that they used. It gave a lot more lifelike feeling to the show, and it really made you relate. So I think their main purpose was, though, to make the show seem like it was filmed in the States, because you know how the States has like these trippy properties and houses. I don't know, the States just has way more of a vibe than Canada. I'm sorry to all the Canadians. I'm Canadian myself, but we can't compete with the States. And that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to make it look like the show was filmed out there. And they did a great job, because honestly, until recently, I didn't even know the show was made in Canada. The show originally started airing on YTV in Canada and Fox Kids in the US, along with Australia. It contained 4 seasons, in which the first episode aired in 1995 and the last episode was in 1998. And life just wasn't the same. When Goosebumps stopped airing, things changed, man. Things changed, you know? We're going to talk about the books for a little bit. The books were honestly so dope. They were so appealing, not only as a young kid, but even till this day. Like, I still find their artwork to be very appealing. I remember when Scholastic Book Fair happened, you would honestly beg your parents to get you a Goosebumps book or to get you the box set, which was a huge flex at the time. If you got that box set and the other students in school saw you with that set, oh man, you were a pimp. You were a boss. And I'm sad to say I never got one of those box sets because they were too expensive, you know? But I really wish I did, because I most likely would have still had them today and I would have liked to pass them on to my kids. Fun fact, it's actually very hard to get these retro covered books. Like, you can get them used, but I don't even think you can get them brand new anymore. But yeah, they're tough to get because they actually modernize the covers, which completely suck. I'm not for the new covers at all. Retro all the way. I'll show you some of the covers right now. Like, the artwork was just so appealing. Like, as a young kid, you know, you saw these covers and you're like, damn, like, I gotta read these books. And it really drew kids in, and it was good because it not only made you read, but it was actually exciting reading material. You learned and you enjoyed it, you know what I mean? Like, this cover art, even till today, I find this cover art just really appealing and interesting. The intro. Y'all remember this, dog? If you've seen Goosebumps, everyone associates Goosebumps with the intro, because the intro was just so dope. No matter how many times you've seen the intro, it was always a good time watching it. The golden retriever, the Goosebumps dog. You and your siblings and your cousins and your friends associated golden retriever with a Goosebumps dog. And don't lie, we all did it. Whenever you see a golden retriever walking on the street, you'd be like, hey, look, it's the Goosebumps dog. And you'd check out its eyes to see if they changed color, like in the intro. You all remember this guy right here? The guy with the hat and the trench coat? Who was this guy? That was a big mystery. They never showed his face. Who was this man? And as a kid, you just prayed that this guy wasn't chilling on a hilltop somewhere in your city. You know what I mean? You were just like, oh man, like I hope that dude ain't chilling somewhere in my city. And again, with the education, like, man, I never went near no creeps in a trench coat and a hat because of this show. And I feel like a lot of kidnappers and creeps are usually wearing trench coats, or they were back in those days. So it made me stay away from some sketchy people. So thank you, Goosebumps, for protecting me and all other kids out there. Y'all remember Slappy? He was the most infamous Goosebumps character of all. I remember I used to get straight amped up when Slappy episodes were there. Even though it was just a ripoff of Child's Play, I feel like Slappy episodes were still very entertaining to watch. I was terrified of dolls because of this fella right here. I would always be paranoid of my sister's dolls and would come alive. Like, I was just not having it. But at the same time, I was low-key wishing they would come alive just so I could experience what these people did in the episodes of Slappy. I remember I would be like, oh, if a doll came alive around me, I would just throw it around. But I low-key wish it did come alive so I could see how I would react. And I feel like it would have just been cool. If you had to pick your favorite Goosebumps episode, what would it be? I'm going to have to say The Mask. This episode contained all the elements of good horror, and for a moment, it didn't even feel like it was a children's show. The episode taught us a lot. Remember these guys right here? These dirtbags, Chuck and Larry? Oh man, I hated these guys. They always bullied Carly Beth, and it taught you how wrong bullying is. They took it a little too far. Like when they put a worm in Carly Beth's sandwich, this scene hit different. I couldn't believe how someone could be so evil and cruel. It also made me paranoid when it came to sandwiches. I swear, for a couple of years after watching this scene, I would always check my sandwich to make sure there wasn't worms in it. Like, it was just disgusting. This episode was honestly like just every aspect of it was so dope. You actually felt like you were in the episode. I feel like the props and just the sets and stuff were very, very well done. Just made you feel like you were actually there with the characters. This dude's face that I'm about to show you, this guy's face right here, is something that'll be in my brain forever. I don't know why, but his image is permanently burned into my brain. Whenever I see someone with a lot of acne, it always brings me back to this dude from Goosebumps. Even when I get a lot of acne, I start thinking about this guy. Look at The Mask. As a young kid, this was absolutely terrifying. It made me feel super claustrophobic because I remember it got stuck to her face and I was just like, God damn, like I would hate for that to happen to me. Masks in general make you feel claustrophobic, but one that you can't get off, that's torture. I thought this was really creative too, how they took this element into the episode. Like the mask alone was already scary, but then the little replica that Carly Beth's mom made of her, she put that on a stick and started walking around with it. And at one point, when the mask took over Carly Beth, this doll came to life, and it was like, "Help me!" And I thought that was like the coolest slash creepiest thing ever. And the CGI effects for the '90s were honestly dope. Like this episode was far ahead of its time. Overall, Goosebumps was dope. A lot of creative and fun stories, a lot of good books, cover art, everything about the show was appealing. If you haven't seen it yet and you're just coming across this video, honestly, I suggest you watch Goosebumps. If you are a Goosebumps fan, we should honestly continue the Goosebumps tradition by passing it on to our little cousins and our kids because this show should live on forever. It was a huge part of my childhood, and I'm sure it was a huge part of your childhood as well. And I want to say thank you, R.L. Stine. Thank you for putting this show into my life and the books. If you liked this video and you enjoyed what I talked about, please feel free to subscribe. I will be posting a lot more content, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you on the next video. Thanks.